horses. It's a chinchilla butt. We got this chinchilla from the SPCA and a bunch more of our animals too.
Howdy, and welcome to the Bar SC Ranch, where you will experience our journey of running a family business, caring for animals, and doing life together. Subscribe now and be inspired here at the Bar SC.
So we foster a lot of animals from the SPCA. We really love being able to just take them in and really rescuing them, and we really love, especially Murphy, we love having these kinds of animals. The first video is on Alfie. He was one of our foster horses, and my mom fell in love with Alfie, and we actually adopted him, and this video is on me putting the first ride on him.
Today we're here with, I'm Michelle, this is Kylie and Ashley, and we have our 2-year-old quarter horse gelding named Alfie. We adopted Alfie in December from the Monterey County SPCA. And he's been wonderful. He came to us with no prior knowledge of saddles, bridles, or anything. He was halter broke, so he's been doing a lot of groundwork for the last 4 months. And we've been really excited for the sun to come out and for it to stop raining so that we could actually get on him and start riding him. Yeah. So normally for the last 10 years, I've been the one who's been starting the horses that come to this ranch. But Ashley and Kylie have been working very closely with me for, oh gosh, now like 4 years, I think. So today I'm super excited. I'm going to give them the reins and let them take over, and they're going to put the first ride on Alfie. So we're standing in our 50-foot round pen. Alfie has done, like I said, 4 months of groundwork. So first we're going to start off with Ashley just moving his feet on the ground before we let Kylie get on, just to make sure he's remembered everything that he has learned. And then we'll show you a few of the steps that we go through as we mount, and then go ahead and ride him for the first time. One of the exercises that we use is we teach our horses to flex, and this way we have breaks when we get on the horse for the first time. So first we're going to ask him to flex just using the halter and lead rope. So the halter is the black equipment that's over his head. The lead rope is the black rope that Ashley's pulling on. She's going to do it from both directions. So she'll ask him to flex to the left, and then she'll ask him to flex to the right. And normally we make the horse move their feet. We don't move ours as much, but for the sake of showing you on camera, we'll move around him today. So he's just going to go touch the fender over on the right hand side. And then today we're going to be using something called a hackamore. You can start them in something called a bazelle. You can use just a flat out snaffle bit. Alfie, you can't bite things. He likes to eat everything, so we're working through the balance of having him chew on everything and not really be allowed to chew on everything. There we go. So we're going to use this. So the hackamore just has a little bit of rawhide that goes across the nose, so it doesn't hurt him at all when we ask him to turn. So today our sole goal is to have somebody sit on his back and get him going in circles at first. So we're going to move his front end and then his hind end in circles, and we'll show you what that looks like. But basically we want him to just follow his nose, learn what it means to be asked to move forward, but forward and then in a direction. So he'll need to follow the pressure on this hackamore. So we want to make sure that he'll give to that pressure, which he will on this side just fine. And I'll let Ashley do the other side. And he's very light, very responsive. And again, that just comes from a couple weeks that we've done of practice before today. All right, so before we actually get on him and have Kylie sit all the way up on his back, and again, we've done a lot of practicing before today, we're gonna go ahead and have Kylie mount, not all the way and sitting on him. She's just gonna step up, step down, step up and step down, and flop all over him, just to make sure. Go ahead and rub him. There we go. He's much more interested in eating his halter and lead rope and bridle. There you go. And that's just to make sure that your horse is not going to be surprised at all by you being up above him. And Kylie, if you wave your arm. Kylie helped me do the Jeffries method, so jumping up and down all around him using, it's called the human curry comb, rubbing him all over while you're laying on their back. You're actually going to first just sit on him and flex.
Okay.
And then, yes, then Ashley's going to just walk in and move his hindquarters, and you're going to pull his forequarters around. And then you're going to sit on top of him and then just ask him to flex both directions. All right? Are those stirrups okay for you?
They are.
As we asked, we didn't ask earlier. And then go ahead and flex them the other way. Awesome. And then go ahead and flex him back. It's okay if his nose gets stuck
Trying to
a
bite
point,
himself.
unless he's trying to eat his saddle, which
He's more so trying to eat the reins.
Yep, that's plenty. Go ahead and get him going the other direction. He doesn't get to concentrate on eating things. All right, how do you feel? Good. The more we let him kind of stand here, the more he's going to eat things. So I feel like we'll get his his legs moving.
Okay.
There we go. Good. Oh, we'll keep him going. And then go ahead and turn him. There we go. And then you might have to step over. There we go. Good job. And you can walk a little bit. There you go. Don't be in front of the drive line, Ashley. There you go. And again, new baby horses, it's hard to get their feet moving and it's hard to steer. So it's not going to be perfect. But we want to make sure that he doesn't.
So I'm going to move his hindquarters until I see you. Yeah.
We want to make sure that he doesn't ever get the idea that he can just take off running and bucking. He shouldn't do that, but there's always the potential. So it's really important to get the horse thinking when you are going to ride it and exercise it. Well, we actually want them thinking before we ride them, because a horse is by nature very reactive. And so the longer a horse sits out in pasture or in a stall or paddock, not being ridden, not being messed with, the more naturally they revert to a more wild state. So a very reactive state. So a horse that is thinking, so he's scared of the puddle on the ground. But notice he didn't blow up or do anything weird, and that's because we've got him thinking. So he's been taught, we've taught him that if he doesn't react to a puddle or to something that scares him, that everything's going to be fine. And but if we left him in pasture and didn't ride him or work with him doing these types of exercises, he would become reactive of that puddle. And that's just no fun when you go out to ride your horses. So here at the Bar SC Ranch, we spend lots of time doing groundwork and exercising our horses and keeping them thinking so that they are not reactive. And they're really kind to our riders and to our guests who come out here. It's really important to do all of the exercises, and especially now that we're starting to ride him, we're going to ride him both to the right and to the left, get him turning circles both to the right and the left, because the horse's brain is real different and interesting. The left and right hemispheres don't really speak to each other that well. So a horse actually has almost two personalities. The right side and the left side act completely differently sometimes. So this horse is what we call sticky. He's having a little bit of a harder time moving out to the right than he does to the left, because he learns this exercise a little bit more easily on the left-hand side than he does on the right. We're going to continue to do this same exercise in the round pen for maybe 1 or 2 more days. Then what we're going to do is get him out into the bigger arena for 1 or 2 or 3, sometimes at the most 4 days, and then we'll get him out on trail. and that will get them really moving. It'll get them desensitized to all kinds of objects, the trees, the rivers, the cows. We've done it again all on the ground with groundwork, and we'll show you more of those in other videos doing more groundwork. But that's kind of going to be his plan for the next 2 weeks. The exercises that we use here at the ranch primarily come from Clinton Anderson's Down Under Horsemanship techniques. We are huge fans of his fundamentals, intermediate and even advanced horsemanship techniques. We think that they're so good at describing how to really communicate with your horse. And it gives you really straightforward, easy exercises. The one that we're doing right now came from his colt starting series. But not just Clinton Anderson, we use all kinds of other trainers as well. We're always learning. He's got to go to the bathroom. We're always learning, spending tons of time reading, watching things on the internet, learning from other trainers in our area locally. We're taking lessons constantly. And so when we go to start a horse, we pool all of our knowledge and use the resources and exercises that work for us and for each individual horse. We've started close to 100 horses in the last 10 years. And so we've had to use a number of the exercises from the different trainers, because sometimes things that work with one horse definitely do not work for another horse. The reason we do all of these groundwork exercises prior to getting on for so long as well is that I want to make sure when we get on our horses, there's no bucking, there's no bolting, there's no silliness. I don't want to send my daughter or any of my students to the emergency room for any reason. So it did take us, like maybe 2.5 months of groundwork, whereas a lot of people would have ridden the horse within the first 30 days. I understand that. We've done it before. It just leaves a lot of room for loopholes. So that can cause wrecks or horses to still react in ways where they would buck or bolt. So this way we make sure we don't have any of those funny habits when we get on.
So this is Murphy here, and he is one of our animals from the SPCA. I actually adopted him because I loved him and he's so cool. And in this next video, I'll teach you a little bit more about him.
Hey guys, so we're hanging out here today with two of our small barn animal little friends. We've got Geralt the hamster
And Murphy the chinchilla.
and these guys are some of the best little pets that we have here around at the ranch. I know most of our animals are very large and a little more ranchy seeming. You know, you might not think a hamster when you think of a ranch, but these two have absolutely become a part of the Barassi family.
So Kylie, will you tell us a little bit about chinchillas? Like, what the heck is that?
Chinchillas are part of the rodent family, and they're actually really closely related to guinea pigs.
What?
Sounds pretty funny. They don't look much alike, but their fur is really, really dense, and they can have up to 80 hairs per follicle,
Whoa.
which is a
that's
lot.
hair.
People only have 1 hair per follicle.
Whoa.
And you can see Murphy's shedding right now.
Oh my goodness.
They shed about every 3 months, once every 3 months. So you can tell he's shedding right now.
Why do they have so much hair? Does it have something to do with where they live?
It does. So chinchillas mainly live in South America, and they live in the mountains, and it gets really cold.
It is neither cold nor South America nor mountains here.
Yeah, so they have a lot. They need that really thick coat to keep them warm. And they'll, so it's cold during the night and it's warm during the day. So they'll actually dig burrows to keep them cool throughout the day, because the sand or the dirt underneath the ground is a lot cooler than up at the surface. And they dig their own holes, which I thought was really interesting because chinchillas' nails aren't like normal nails. They have almost like human fingernails. They're very small and they aren't very long, and so they don't seem ideal for digging, but yet they dig. So that really surprised me. And then they like to climb a lot.
I see that.
You can see Murphy jumped on my shoulder. He feels most comfortable sitting on your shoulder.
Aw. So do you like walk around with him on your shoulder?
I do,
Aw.
yes. And until he starts nibbling on my ear.
What?
I have to set him down.
Are chinchillas' main diet ears?
No. I wish. No, I don't wish. I wish they didn't like ears.
It's also eating your chair.
Oh dear.
Okay, Murphy, down you come.
What do chinchillas usually eat?
They eat a lot of plants. So here in captivity, we feed them mainly pellets. They do get veggies regularly. What you really want to make sure is that their diet isn't changed often. They need a consistent diet. And so we feed our chinchillas pellets and a free feeding of hay. So we give them grass hay, and we free feed them that, so they get as much as that, as much hay as they'd like. And the vegetables we don't give as often. Chinchillas, the vegetables aren't as big as it's not a big part of their diet like rabbits or even guinea pigs. Vegetables are a large part of their diet. Chinchillas, you definitely do want to give them a couple of vegetables a day, but it's not a huge part of their diet. You don't want to only feed them vegetables. They really need that protein and other nutrients from their pellets.
Probably because of all of the hair.
He's really shedding.
Geralt is not nearly as fuzzy. In fact, I think I can see his skin if I pull it back just a little bit. He's not balding.
I'm glad to hear that. I was concerned about the balding hamster. He's not old enough for that yet.
No, he's only middle age.
How old is Murphy?
Where are you going, buddy?
They want to say hi.
Geralt will get eaten.
I thought that Murphy doesn't eat hamsters.
Murphy doesn't eat meat. Okay, he'll get attacked.
How old is
Murphy's
Murphy?
a vegetarian. How old's Murphy?
Yeah.
Murphy, we're not actually sure exactly how old he is. We think he's pretty young. When we first got him, we rescued him from the SPCA from Monterey County, and we're really not sure. He was my first chinchilla I've ever had, and one of my friends came over to see him, and they said that he was a lot smaller than their chinchilla, which means he was probably younger. So in that case, he'd be about 2 now. But, whoa, all the hair just went up into the barn. Okay, come here, Murphy.
Wow, that is very fun. He is very cute. So are all chinchillas that same kind of taupe color?
They are not. So there's actually a color, I don't know if it's called chinchilla in chinchillas, but there's a chinchilla color in rabbits, and that's the same color as normal chinchillas are. We could go in and show you marbles. Marbles is what most chinchillas look like, but now that...
Is Marbles another chinchilla?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
He
you have
lives
2 chinchillas.
right next to Murphy. He's not as friendly. He hasn't been around humans as much.
What she means is he pees on you from a distance. If you get within 2 feet of this chinchilla, he will projectile pee across the room and pee on you.
I feel like that's
bites.
a skill.
So
you haven't been peed on yet, Grace.
Fair.
yeah.
But Geralt is using me like a treadmill. I move him and he runs back. And I move him, and he runs back. He's so funny.
Okay, sorry, so I interrupted. So the chinchilla color.
Oh yes, that's what a normal chinchilla color is. Now chinchillas are endangered in the wild, so people are starting to breed them more, and they're getting a lot more colors now. And so this is one of the colors. I actually don't know what color it's called, but I only know the chinchilla color.
Taupe. I think it's called taupe.
We could call it taupe.
And it looks like he has one red eye.
He does. So we don't know exactly what happened to his eye. He was like that when we got him, but one's a lot cloudier than the other. And cloudiness in the eye usually means he could have had something poke him in the eye, or he could. I mean, what else do you think could have happened to him?
It's possible he was born like that, but with it being only one eye, you would expect an eye trauma or an eye injury of some sort.
Yeah.
Chinchillas are not super prone to glaucoma and other things like that, but that can cause the same sorts of issues and the same sorts of damage. So considering he's a rescue, we really don't know. But it doesn't seem to, Geralt is moving so fast. It doesn't seem to bother him at all, so we're not concerned about it unless it does.
Sometimes in the beginning, at certain days, especially when it's brighter outside, he seems to not be able to see as well. We put him out in the X-Pen one time, and with all of his toys, and he didn't know where everything was, and he kept running into everything. So it was also really bright. He lives in a darker area, and so he was probably just blinded by the sun a little bit as well. But maybe that one eye he can't see out of. We're not exactly sure. That's our guess. So chinchillas, they take a bath every other day. They should have a bath every other day. And it's not like a bath you would think. It's not with water and soap. Chinchillas have a special dust that you have to give them, and they roll around in the dust to clean themselves. And the dust just gets rid of oils from their skin, and it helps keep the fur in top condition because their fur is so dense and so soft.
Same with chickens. Chickens also dust bathe.
Yeah. And then he really likes to dust bathe. I think one, because he loves getting cleaned, but he also loves the shape of his dust bath. It feels like a house to him, so I just gave him a new house. It's just a cardboard box, and I cut out a little hole for him to go walk into, and he loves that. Chinchillas love little places to hide and crawl in. And he's still shedding. And then chinchillas also really like to climb, so putting branches in their pen, I cut down a little bit of an apple sprig, and I put that in with him, and they love apple wood, wood from apple trees. Most wood, there's a lot of woods that are toxic to chinchillas, so you want to be careful of certain woods that you give them, but apple's good. I'm not sure any other wood, but apple is definitely good, and it's sweet because it's a fruit tree, so they really like that. And then I just have a little swing in his pen too that he really likes. That's one that he sits in all the time. I'm not exactly sure why he sits in it, but it looks like fun.
Well, chinchillas are normally found they're not like a ground squirrel, they're more like a tree squirrel, if you're going to think about something that we also have in America. So being up high and climbing on things makes them feel comfortable. Even just the design of his cage, the fact that it goes upward, so rather than giving him a lot of square feet out to the side, his cage allows him to have square footage upward, vertical square footage, where he can climb up different little levels and climb up higher and higher or go down lower. Whatever you do to mimic the natural habitat of the animals that you're keeping in captivity, that's the best we can do. So like with rabbits, we wouldn't put them in a enclosure where they're having to climb up. That's not something rabbits naturally do. You don't find rabbits in trees.
Definitely.
But you do find them all over the ground. So we like to give them a lot of square footage, I guess horizontally rather than vertically.
Yeah.
Actually, you've come back with a different animal.
Yes, Geralt got tired of me. You really can't, the really small guys, you can't handle for that long at one time. Chinchillas, They can do a little bit more, but even chinchillas and rabbits, you don't want to just hold them for hours. They will get tired of you. They do need their own time and their own space. We try and limit handling here down to whatever the animal's comfortable with. It depends on the individual. Some rabbits will cuddle with you all day long, and others, you know, will give you 15 minutes and say, okay, I need my own space. So we try and respect that.
Are chinchillas, do they usually live together, or are they more solitary animals?
They do live together. We're really used to rabbits. I haven't found anything on two males being able to live together.
Typically, you don't want to put two males of just about anything together.
I wouldn't think so. That's why
unless they're neutered. The males fight.
So we keep them separate, but usually in the wild they live in colonies.
Ooh.
But they would fight in the wild. That's the difference. The
So
males
would-
fight, so we don't want to encourage that.
So would, like, in the wild, would one male just be with a ton of females? That would be the colony?
I actually am not sure.
I'm not sure. Different animals do it different ways. Some, they have like groups of females, some rodents and cavies like chinchillas from the same family. Some will do things where a group of females always lives together and the males kind of travel around, and that gets you your genetic diversity. Some, you have one male to a group of females, and as you know, the male's offspring grow up, they get kicked out and then go try and find another band. I'm not sure. Kylie, you're not sure either?
No,
what
I'm
goes on
not.
with cavies? We'll have to do some more research.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's still pretty cool.
But
I
like
know
with
that they live
ducks,
in really big colonies.
they do. Like with
Thousands.
ducks, you want to have one male to like at least 5 females.
Yeah.
And most species follow basically around those lines.
yeah.
Some will pair up. Some do like
Lots
a
of
one
birds.
male female pair. Yeah. Rabbits do not pair off.
Uh-uh.
But the males will also fight. So we have a couple of neutered males here at the ranch with the rabbits, and that works out really well to decrease some of those hormones and prevent the fighting. But
Yeah.
chinchillas, they're a little bit smaller, they're a little bit more exotic, less common. So to do a surgery to spay or neuter, you'd be asking a lot of your veterinarian. I'm sure there's some out there who do, but it just makes the procedure a little more risky. So before considering getting a chinchilla or really any other animal as a pet, it's important to do your research first and make sure that you can meet all the needs that that animal has. With chinchillas as well as rabbits, you can find them at just about any pet store. I know even some of the really big chains have chinchillas. And they're really fun, really amazing pets, but they also live for quite a few years. How many years is that, Kylie?
Chinchillas can live up to 15 years.
15 years. So you have to know that for the next 15 years, you're going to be able to provide a home, and a good home, for that chinchilla. It's not the same as like a hamster like we had Geralt out here. That's only 2 years, so that's a lot easier for some people. And I know that the hamster is not quite as exotic and fancy looking, but if that's a more feasible time frame for you, we would always suggest that you go for what you're going to be able to take care of long term. The chinchillas are also a little, since they are a little less common than some other pets, there's not as much information out there about them. It's not as easy to find a vet who knows how to treat chinchillas. So you want to make sure that you have a good relationship with a nearby vet that is an exotics vet. So some vets that take care of like dogs and cats will also take care of exotics, but you have to find that distinction. Not every vet will, and you want to make sure that you have a place to take them, gosh forbid your little chinchilla get hurt or need to see a vet. You also want to be able to provide them with the proper housing, so that doesn't just mean a really tiny area. They're very active, and like Kylie will sit in there and watch Murphy for just hours, just running around all over the place in his enclosure. It's quite large, it gives him lots of space, but also taking him out and just carrying him on your shoulder and letting him interact with you and with other people is very important to their mental health. So you want to know that you have the time and the space and the resources to give your pet the life that, that they deserve and that you deserve to live with them.
And if you want to get one for maybe a child, you want to make sure that you have an extra room maybe or something like that. Chinchillas are nocturnal, so they move a lot at night. If you really want a chinchilla in your room, you might not get as much sleep as you're hoping. So you want to be really careful about that as well.
Just like the hamsters, I think we've all had like a squeaky wheel in our room growing up. I know I did for sure, and I'd just be like, ah! Doesn't matter how cute they are, when they wake you up at 3 a.m., it's annoying.
Chex wants to go over and visit Murphy.
He does, he wants to leave. But you know what,
That
he's
one
way
doesn't brush
easier to
Murphy.
hold than Geralt. Geralt
I think that
is
you
very
should
hard
hold
to hold.
marbles.
I should hold marbles, I would be absolutely coated in pee. Absolutely coated.
Well,
Thanks for hanging out with Ashley and I really hope you learned a bit about chinchillas. So this next video is about one of our foster horses, Sam. We decided to take in Sam and foster him and work with him so that the SPCA would have a better chance of adopting him out. This video is Ashley's first time working with Sam, so check it out.
Hey guys, I'm here in the round pen with Sam. Sam is a new horse to the ranch. He came to us from the SPCA for Monterey County. He's going to be my new project for this next couple of weeks, probably a couple of months. Let's cross our fingers it's not a couple of years. That is my biggest goal. But he was with the SPCA for over a year at least, because he was there when we took in our last project. He was still there. So he's looking for a new home, and we're hoping to help him become a better horse so that a new home could find him and enjoy him, and he's going to be what people are looking for when they're going to adopt a horse. Right now, he's unbroken. He's, I believe, 19 years old, give or take. They don't really know. They're just going based on his teeth, so they're looking at dentals and trying to decide, you know, approximately how old he might be. So he's on the older side of things, especially for having never been broken to a saddle and never being ridden. But that doesn't mean that he can't be a wonderful ride, a wonderful, nice guy. He's pretty sprightly. He moves really well, like you're going to see in today's video. He's a cute guy, a friendly guy, and so I hope that we can, you know, give him a little bit more training, send him in the right direction so that hopefully then he could be adopted by somebody and find his forever home outside of the SPCA. Is it the cow? This one should stand there. He's afraid of the fake cow. I'll admit, I'm also a little afraid of the fake cow. We're just gonna stand here and chill for a moment and then continue. Good? Don't run into the car. Oh, wait. And out running into me. Thank you. Something I take from that moment, though, is that as he spooked at something behind him, he didn't run me over. What I don't like is he's wanting to be right up next to me when something is scaring him. And ideally, I wouldn't be in this situation between a truck and a wall. It's a little, like, you know, questionable, but you know what? That doesn't mean we just leave. He doesn't then just be like, well, it was a spaz and then we left. So we have to get over this. Doesn't mean I'm going to put myself between like a literal rock and a truck, but we have to come down from it. We're good. So I'm going to be taking Sam through what we call the method. It's the Clinton Anderson method. We have all of his DVDs. We subscribe to his newsletters and his online, account where he sends out information on a daily and weekly basis all about horse training and his particular approach to training a horse, either to go on to competition, to be really, you know, fancy in a show, or just to accept a rider at all. And we're going to be taking Sam through the colt starting portion of his method. So we're going to be, basically, we don't know what Sam has going on in his past, what had happened, what he had been taught. All we can do is speculate, and I'm really not super willing to just jump up there and go, well, maybe someone's ridden him at some point in his life. Not a good idea. So we're going to start from scratch as if no one's ever, you know, sat on him before, no one's ever ridden him before, no one's ever taught him to steer, to stop, to go, to accept a rider. And we're going to start at square one and work our way up, and hopefully eventually, you know, have Sam, you know, we'll check back in with further videos and you'll be able to see our progress. Hopefully you'll be able to, you know, maybe in a month or two's time, see Sam under saddle and see him, you know, being a little bit more of a productive member of society. So the first thing we do when we're teaching a horse how to round pen is to establish direction. So I want to establish that when I tell Sam to go off to my right, that he goes off to the right and he just keeps going. You'll notice? He wants to turn around, he wants to do circles, but right now I'm not concerned about him turning the wrong way or anything like that. We're not trying to turn. Our main goal right now is that Sam is going to head around to my right and keep up that pace until I've asked him to do something else. And so we're going to do a few laps. This is his time to warm up, my time to see a little bit of how he's feeling. Right now, clearly he's feeling speedy. just gonna keep him moving, let him warm up. As long as he's going this direction, I'm not gonna nitpick anything else that he's doing. Now, if Dylan were running around, my horse who's more experienced in this, with his head, you can kind of tell that Sam's pointing his head to the outside. His inside ear is listening to me, still listening to me, but he's just kind of staring to the outside of the round pen. Now, if a horse that you've been doing this for a while is doing that, no. Something's wrong and we need to fix it. But with Sam, this is his first time, we're starting from scratch. As long as he'll keep going this way like he's doing beautifully right now, I'm happy. So I'm gonna try a change of direction, and Grace might have to step behind me. He's not super great at this yet. Good. And what I like to do when I'm teaching this is the first couple of times that I'm doing a change of direction and I'm drawing them off of the fence to face me, that was beautiful. That was gorgeous. Most horses' inclination when you step out in front of them and try and draw them back towards you is to, slam into the fence and run in the other direction and turn their butt towards me. The fact that Sam just turned and faced me in the middle like that, I'm gonna give him a moment. So I'm gonna sit, I sit here and I talk to you, that's resting time for him, and he's going, oh, if I turn towards the center, she'll let me stand here, she'll give me a break. And I'm all about him getting a break when he's doing what he needs to be doing. And hopefully in the future, if he runs and turns himself into the fence and goes the wrong way as I ask him to change direction, I'm gonna get a little bit more higher energy, cut him off, I'm gonna move in front of him, and I'm gonna send him back the way he was going previously before he made the mistake. And then I'm gonna ask again in just a few more moments. So this is teaching him that if you do it right, I leave you alone. If you do it wrong, I send you back and we have to do it again. Now we're gonna start in the other direction. I'm gonna point up in the way I want him to go. I notice that he's still unsure about the direction that he's going, and that's fine. Not a big deal. We have to start somewhere. I really love how forward he is. My horse Dylan is a off-the-track thoroughbred, which means he was a racehorse, so he started out like so forward, which just means moving really fast all the time, always willing to go, 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 not super great at stopping. Sam here is also forward. I like the way that he moves. I think he's a pretty mover, which is always a plus. Pretty movers, if you can get them working well under saddle, heck, maybe we can do a couple shows together. That'll make him look even better to a potential adopter. Even if they're online shows, we've been doing some online dressage shows recently. That would be a really fun thing to try out and to get him into. So he's doing a great job this direction. Actually, he's doing really well both directions with maintaining consistent direction. That's something that I like to take notes every day that I work a horse if I'm trying to accomplish some goals. So when I finish up today, I'm going to go into my notebook and write how good he was at his directions. Because for a day 1 or even like a day 2 or 3, this is phenomenal. The fact that he's still going one way. Most horses are like, and backwards and sideways and towards you and outward and bump into the fence and like, ah! This is phenomenal. We're going to try another change of direction. And so see, that time we didn't actually get him to pull his upper body off the fence. And so what I'm going to do is try and sneak around in here and see if I can. And he's going to turn the wrong way into the fence. So I'm going to come behind him, set him back off the way he's going, and then I'm going to try again. Good boy. And he goes the right way that time, so I don't send him off. And you notice he went off anyway, and that's fine. But I'm going to give him that moment. I'm going to say, hey, you turned the right direction. If you run off that time, that's fine. It's all about picking our battles, and what we're working on today is the fact that he will turn towards me when I ask him to, turn to the inside, and the fact that he will consistently maintain the direction that I sent him off in. And so ideally, in the future, something we'll work on is that when I pull him off the fence and ask him to face me, that doesn't mean just run off in the opposite direction. But that's like step 5 or 6. That's not step 1. We're still on step 1. We're going to try another change of direction at kind of a sticky spot for him. And he goes the wrong way, so I just come behind him. And I get a little more, I don't want to call it aggressive, but a little more forceful about sending him off this direction, because that was a mistake that he just made. And that's fine. Be a little bit of a mistake, but less so. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. And we don't have to overreact. We're not beating the heck out of our horses if they make a mistake, but we need to let them know, oops, that was the wrong decision. Good boy. And I'm going to let him have his moment. And you see he's licking and chewing right there? Something that Clinton Anderson teaches us is that licking and chewing, they're like licking their brains. They're going, oh, is that what you wanted me to do? I'm understanding, I'm processing, I'm, you know, kind of grasping the concept. So the fact that I sent him off, if he turns into the fence, I send him back off and he goes, oh, wait a minute, like, what did I do wrong? When he turns to the inside, I leave him be. He licks and chews and he goes, oh, what she wants is for me to turn to the center of the arena. And that is what I want right now. That's all that I want from him today, is to maintain direction and to turn to the inside of the arena when I ask him to. So once we get our horses trotting out in both directions consistently, so meaning he's not stopping, he's not changing direction without me asking him to, the next step is to move up into a canter, which is the next fastest gait. And so we're going to see a little bit of what Sam has to offer. Is he a good mover at the canter? Is it messy as heck and he needs more muscle building? We're going to find out. So we're going to see a little bit more about him, perhaps his potential, and if he knows what the kissing sound means. So he's a little fast. It's a little bit like, woo! But that's a nice canter. He held it for a full lap. My end goal is for when I ask him to canter, he continues to canter until the cows come home. Right now what I'm going to do is just when he breaks down from the canter like he just did, now he's back to the trot, I'm going to wait for him to fully commit to the mistake. So I'm not going to nag him just because he's slowed down. I'm going to wait for him to make the mistake, and then I'm just going to send him back off again. And then I'll ask for a change. And the reason I ask him to stop before, pretty quickly after he starts cantering is so that it's my idea to stop him. Because right now I can only get a consistent, like, one lap at the canter, and I'm not going to pick that fight today. So I'm going to take what I can get from him. And I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And he's having a little trouble there. Turning into the middle. You'll notice he's staying up against the fence. If anything, he's considering turning to the outside. And so we're just going to keep trying it until it works. That's better, but not quite. And so we don't get upset with him, we just keep going until we get what we want. And eventually he'll learn, because he's thinking about it. You see, he looks at me, he's just not turning that body. Marvelous. Don't know why he decided to do that 5 seconds later, but that's what we're looking for. And so I want him to learn that if he stays, parallel to the fence, or ever so slightly, it might be a little hard to tell on camera because he's kind of dark, but what he's doing is if the fence is right here, he's turning ever so slightly into the fence. He's not perfectly parallel, because on our first day I might accept him staying parallel to the fence and just looking at me. That would be something I'd accept. What I do not want to accept is him turning ever so slightly into the fence, because that's him going, ooh, I'm going to turn around the wrong way. So I want to make sure he's either facing me like this, which is gorgeous. I will take this and I will go home super happy gushing about this. Or I would accept him staying parallel but kind of looking at me. So he's heading in that direction. So when you're first working with a horse that you don't know super well and you want to try joining up or getting them to follow you around the round pen, I'm going to kind of ignore him and just have him want to come with me. And our end goal is going to be moving towards the center of the arena and then standing here. Because hanging out with me at the center of the arena is where he should always want to be. And that's what will create that draw, that as I'm trying to change directions around the edges of the round pen, it's going to create that draw where, as soon as I step out in front of him, he goes, yes, ma'am, I want to be with you in the center of the arena. That is where I get to rest. That is where I get to just sit and be fat and happy, and hang out with you and you'll scratch me. We want them learning that if they're, if I'm moving your feet, it's to gain respect. And then if you come hang out with me respectfully, this is where you're going to have all of the fun and the food and the treats and the love. Thanks for hanging out with us today as we worked with our horse Sam. Check back soon. We're going to be making a whole series with Sam to show you how he progresses from what you saw at the beginning of today's video into hopefully a super successful and well-trained horse that can go on to have a forever home with somebody.
I hope you enjoyed getting to see some of our SPCA animals. Keep your eye out for more because we have a ton more, and we'll see you later.
If you enjoyed this video, we'd love to hear from you. Like and subscribe and leave us a comment about what you might like to see in future episodes. We'll see ya back on the ranch.